All right, excuse my construction mess, but here we are back with yet a new T-TRAK module, and I call this one my diamond crossing. This diamond crossing obviously could create some issues with running T-TRAK. Obviously, if things are misrouted or miswired, it's going to cause some shorts and cause some electrical issues. But today we're going to talk about the switches themselves, how the switches are set, and why it's important to make sure they're all initialized at the beginning of a T-TRAK setup. So this diamond crossing has 8 switches and 8 NCE SwitchKats that control those switches. Those switches are all shown in the thrown position at the moment, because I'm going to demonstrate a JMRI script that I've incorporated to give us a good initial setup of all the switches in the T-TRAK layout. The one caveat here is those switches need to be listed in JMRI in the turnout table, as well as any sensors need to be listed as well if you want to reset those sensors. So as we take a look here, you can see that all these switches are thrown. That initially, at least, it looks like everything is going to go to the diverged track, and they'll be routed off the mains. So we want everything on the main when we first start. So one big thing I wanted to talk about here is because we use Kato for T-TRAK, and we're using these NCE SwitchKats underneath to throw our switches and to give us our visual indication on where that switch is. One failing is if you switch this manually, or some young person decides to say, hey, you know, what happens when I do this? And then they walk off and you're not paying attention. Suddenly it looks like your route or your switches are thrown, but yet they're closed. So you could have a train headed this direction and T-bone the train that has the actual right-of-way going the other direction. So I wanted to be sure that all these switches, or at least initially, they're all set to the closed position, and we don't have any issues with trains being misrouted. So again, you can see that everything is set to the thrown position as opposed to the closed position in JMRI. Very quickly, I wanted to address, I created these mobile circuit breakers that we can place throughout the T-TRAK layout, and they react very quickly. These are NCE EB1s, and they assist with saving your engines or saving your command station because of a short. So since these are DCC addressed, they can be thrown like a switch. So I have them set in JMRI like a switch, and if these are shorted or they're in a thrown position and they're appearing to be a short with the light flashing very quickly, the initial startup will throw it back to the closed position and reset this. And if there's really a short, it will revert back. But having no shorts, it will stay constantly lighted just like it is. And so I'll demonstrate that later. So right now, I'm going to demonstrate how this script, which has been loaded up into my startup, is going to reset all the switches in the layout to the closed position. So let's go take a look at the table in JMRI. All right, so we're going to take a quick look here at JMRI. I opened up the turnout table, and as you can see, the scissor crossing, which is called crisscrossing, is thrown, and all of the diamond crossing switches are thrown. Everything else on here is closed, but those other T-TRAK modules are not, they're not hooked up. So just the crisscrossing and the diamond module. So with that, I'm going to restart the Raspberry Pi. So I'm going to get out of here, and then I'm going to go to restart the RPi and get a good proper shutdown and restart. So as it begins its restart, I'm going to come back over here, and we're going to take a look at how the script runs. So technically what the RPi is doing now upon reboot is it will run the items that I have set in the startup, and it will load up my turnout table that lists all these switches, and then it's going to run the script and reset all the switches. So watch the lights and listen as it starts to reboot here. And it's going to take a minute. I can barely see the screen, but I see that JMRI Panel Pro is starting back up. So let's watch. Any second. And there it did. There it is. Now you see that all the switches are now routed properly. We've got all the switches closed so that we can route straight through. Everything on the main is green, and the diverged tracks are all red. Now, first question that's going to get asked is, well, do I have to restart my Raspberry Pi every time I want to do that? Because during the setup, you and I both know that we may have to run that script a couple of times as people get their T-TRAK modules set up and we add the modules to our setup. So I did something additional. I added a button to my startup, and it will allow me to run this script without rebooting. So let me show you how that works. So I'm back at my DCC all-in-one command station. And you can see here I've got JMRI. I know it was a little bright there for a second, but I've got JMRI Panel Pro up. And I created that button right there that says Turnout Reset. So, and I also added the button for listing my table, my turnout table. So we're going to hit that Turnout Reset button. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up the turnout table, and I'm going to switch some of these I scroll down through here and I get to the diamond crossing. I'm going to switch some of these to closed. You can hear me closing the switches now. Excuse me, to thrown. I say closed because that's what I read. Anyway, so I'm throwing these switches now. So now all those switches are thrown. And I'm going to show you that you can very quickly without having to reboot, you can hit the turnout reset. And as you're watching here, you can watch these lights as I hit the turnout reset. And there you go. It reset all the switches so that they are now closed instead of thrown. So now I want to very quickly demonstrate what I was saying earlier. The NCE EB1s are all listed right here. And these are the circuit breakers I was talking about from before. Now if let me go ahead and throw all those. So if these circuit breakers are, if somebody shorted something or laid their pliers down across the track and created some issue, it's going to create a short, and that short is going to look like this on the EB1. You'll get the rapid flash. Now I could just push that red button right there and that would reset it. But wanting to demonstrate what happens with the script, I want to be sure you see, what the script does for the EB1s. One other thing I wanted to mention, as I talked about earlier, during setup, some of these switches may get thrown and give a false indication. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to manually change these switches. And let's see. Yeah. So I'm going to manually change those switches so that they're all in the wrong position. Well, I'm not going to reach way over there, but they're all in the wrong position aside from those two right there. But and looks like the circuit breaker reset itself. So let me go over here and rethrow these. Okay. So now it's been rethrown. Now you can see I've lost power to some of the track. So we're going to have to hit this button twice. So here goes. So I'm going to hit the turnout reset, and then all those switches that were in the wrong position are all going to get reset. So even though they got a bad indication, there you go. Did you hear them? They all reset, and your EB1 is reset. Now let me real quick go back and open up this table, and I'm going to set the EB1 to closed. You can see the EB1 over here. Looks like we have lost power, and I'm going to hit you can see it flashing quickly. I'm going to hit the turnout reset, and there you go. It reset it for us just like it would any of those switches. So you can see this will help a host of errors it'll get us all set up initially, and then prior to actually doing the initial run, we can reset the button or run the script again, reset everything, make sure it's all set. And again, as long as it is listed in this turnouts table, the script will reset all the switches. All right, that's all I got for now. I know that was about 15-16 minutes of description and what I'm doing, but I think that's of value to people. So if you want to know how I did it, or you want access to the script, let me know and I'll be happy to help you out. All right, take care, have a great day, and happy model railroading.